In this video I'm going to walk through an installation of HopsWorks on Amazon EC2. So firstly I'm going to the Hops web page and I click on Getting Started. So from here I'm going to click on Caramel Getting Started. So we're going to use a tool called Caramel, which is an orchestration tool for Chef to install HopsWorks, and I'm going to click on Linux Apple. So I'm going to download the latest version of it. Okay, so I'll just extract it to my downloads folder. I had it already, but I'll just replace everything there. Okay. So now I'm going to start Caramel from the command line. It's actually a web application, Caramel, so I'll just unzip that. And it's going to launch a browser, so you can see it's launching a browser page here. And Caramel basically allows you to load cluster definitions, and it comes with a number of cluster definitions in this examples folder. So in the Caramel distribution you downloaded, if you go to examples stable, you'll see there's a number of clusters defined here. So I'm going to install HopsWorks on one. I'll install 3 nodes. HopsWorks 3 nodes AWS. So the cluster definitions are actually YAML files, and you can view them. So we can actually go in and have a look at one here. While that's loading, it only takes a couple of seconds to load. HopsWorks 3 nodes. Here we go. So this is the cluster definition I'm going to install. We have a name of the cluster. It's EC2. M3 large instances we're going to create on EU West region. And there's quite a lot of software to install. So we've all these different chef cookbooks, the Hops platform itself, HopsWorks, the database NDB, Spark, Flink, Elasticsearch, and Apache Zeppelin. And we're overriding some of the parameters for those cookbooks. We're going to install some services in the mount folder, and we're going to install the services as user Glassfish. And then finally we have the software to install. So we have groups, management node group and a data node group. And each group is basically a stack of software. So these recipes are the services we're going to install. And we're going to create one instance, one virtual machine running all of this software here. So the software is the MySQL server, Hadoop or Hops, with the name node, the resource manager, Spark's master, Flink's job master, job manager, Elasticsearch, Zeppelin, and HopsWorks. And then on the other machine, we're going to create 2 instances on the other stack and they're going to install the database. They're going to install the data node from Hadoop, the node manager from Hadoop, and then workers for Spark and Flink. Okay, so how that looks visually is the following. So we have these. You can see that they're like swim lanes, or you can consider them to be lists from Trello. And each one of the services is written here. So we can use the X if we want to remove a service, but I'm going to leave them as they are. And what you can see is 2 new buttons have appeared here. We have Configure and Launch. Configure allows us to configure these recipes. So if we look at some of the if we click on the button, you see for NDB, HopsWorks, Elastic, it actually goes to GitHub to download the parameters, and you can see there's a number of parameters here. So we could change, for example, the amount of memory. We can go to 250. There's not much difference. Well, we stay with, yeah, we go 250. That's not very much. And then we have passwords for a lot of the services here. So I'm not going to go through all of those. We have passwords, obviously you should set. We have some default values put in here, passwords for the HopsWorks application and for Glassfish, and also for MySQL server. But I'm just going to accept them as they are, and I'm going to go straight ahead and launch this cluster. So launching a cluster requires an SSH key pair. I already have one on my machine, so you can see it picked one out. If you have an SSH key pair in your .sh home folder on Linux or Mac, it will pull it out for you. If you're on Windows, you can generate an SSH key pair. The other issue in advanced, I'm going to click on this advanced tab now, is that if you have a password protected SSH key pair, you need to enter your password here. If you're running not maybe on EC2 but on Google Cloud Engine, or maybe on bare metal more likely, and the account that you're going to log in as. So if you're running bare metal and you've created an account on a bunch of machines, Karamel will work with bare metal. You have to supply the IP addresses for the machines and the username. But if that username requires a sudo password, then you enter that here. So in EC2 we don't. We have an Ubuntu user and it's passwordless sudo access. So if you're in Windows, you can click generated keys and go to the Karamel website to find out how you can generate OpenSSH keys for them that can be used in PuTTY. So I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm just going to go directly to EC2 credentials, and I've already cached them here, so it's picked them out of the cache, and they've been validated now. So you can see now I'm ready to go. I'm going to launch the cluster. So when I press launch cluster, what it does is it uses JCloud to actually talk to Amazon to create the virtual machine instances, but it goes through a number of phases. So the first phase is a pre-cleaning phase where we look if there are any existing instances that have this cluster name and also the stack name or group name that we supplied, and if there are, it'll clean them up. Now it moved pretty quickly to forking machines because it didn't find any. Then we have these buttons here we can look at. We see status, TDAG, VDAG, services. So status is probably the most useful. Status will give you, as the machines get forked, we'll see the machines and the set of chef recipes that need to be installed, so we can track the installation progress. But before we do that, we can go through some of the other buttons. Quick links is useful. It's nothing there right now, but when the recipes start, it will give you links to the services. Now those links won't be valid until the services have actually started, but we can see here what's going to the install process will be. So this is a D3 graph of all of the chef recipes that need to be run. So you can see there's quite a few. And if we go up to the top, we remember there were 3 machines we created, 2 data nodes. So we have the first one here, data nodes 1, data nodes 2. It goes through a number of stages. For example, it needs to run apt-get update, their Ubuntu instances. It's going to install something called chef and Berkshelf. It's going to install Git, and then it's going to clone the cookbooks from GitHub, and then finally it's going to start running all the recipes. So if we zoom on some of these hubs here, like this one, we can see that this is the name node. So we can see there's quite a few services need to start before the name node, and you know, you can see here it says hops NDB, which basically means the NDB library for our Hadoop distribution. NDB is the database we're using. And then after the name node starts, then other things like the data nodes start, and the resource manager, and a bunch of other services. Okay, so let's go back and look at the status. We can see what's happening. Okay, so the machines have been forked, and we can see that the forking machines took about 2 minutes between pre-cleaning, forking the groups, and forking the machines. So now we can see there's a number of services here. Now these aren't actually ordered, so the 1 to 17, don't think of it as being it's going to execute 1, then 2, then 3. They'll execute in different orders. The order you can find in our DAG up here, the orchestration DAG. But we can see that it's going through no group 1, and it's running apt-get update on it, and then it'll go through the other groups in turn. The quick links appear, but they're not, like I said, they're not valid yet. Here we've got a link to HopsWorks itself, and then the name node, the resource manager, and Flink's job manager. So this process is going to take a while. We'll let it run now. So we can see now that the installation has completed. HopsWorks distributed AWS is installed. We have our 1, 2, 3 machines, or all of the recipes are in the done state, and the duration. So this took around 20 minutes in total. Okay, so we can go back to this quick links section here, and we can have a look at some of the services. So there's the resource manager, name node. We can pull up the Flink job manager if we want. And HopsWorks. So this is HopsWorks. Just a quick look at the other services, we pulled them up as well. But HopsWorks, the default username is admin@kth.se, and the default password is admin. Now you could have overridden them during the installation, but I didn't. So now we're logged in, and you can see HopsWorks.